but we may be seeing the formulation of a game plan and tactics from this training footage from Gervonta Davis.
Anybody that gets in the ring with Tank that is not a damn dinosaur is going to feel something from it. And it ain't going to be easy to hit it.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis has the boxing world on edge after new training clips revealed a terrifying transformation ahead of his showdown with Jake Paul. The undefeated star looks stronger, faster, and more explosive than ever. His physique now bulked with power and precision. Fans are calling this the most dangerous version of Tank yet, warning that Jake Paul might be stepping into the ring against a man operating at the peak of his physical and mental game. Known for his devastating knockout power and icy calm before unleashing chaos, Gervonta Davis has long been one of boxing's most feared figures. But this new footage feels different. In past camps, Tank focused on speed, timing, and slick movement, the keys to his lightweight dominance. Now, everything about him screams aggression and intent. He's visibly added lean muscle, and every punch looks heavier, sharper, and more destructive. A transformation that feels both impressive and terrifying for anyone standing across from him.
My biggest fear, I never want to get embarrassed. You know?
What you mean? How would you get embarrassed?
As far as like me not doing my job, feel me? Like I'm not worrying about nobody else because I know skill for skill, none of these guys can mess with me. Nobody. I feel like my skills is way better than like Floyd. Like if I'm on my game, well, I take that probably hand in hand. But skill-wise, nobody on TV that's fighting right now have more skills than me. Nobody. Like talking about top to bottom list of fighters that's fighting on TV.
So what that got to do with you being, I guess, embarrassing? Like, cause again, we seen you make posts on the story like the fight not happening. Like,
cause I don't never want to like me not doing my job like all the way, like me not training all the way, me not, you know. So that's what made me like. So I was supposed to have been in camp, you know, and I wasn't in camp. So it was like, all right.
Oh, okay.
It pissed me off so bad that I was like, all right, I don't even want to fight.
Fans and experts alike are warning Jake Paul not to underestimate the smaller but far more polished fighter. Former heavyweight Eddie Chambers acknowledged Jake's edge in size and strength but said Davis's timing, accuracy, and knockout power make him a threat to anyone, regardless of weight. If you're not a monster yourself, Tank will make you look like one of his highlights, Chambers warned. His comments reignited debate over whether size can truly matter when elite skill is involved. For him, the answer was clear: one clean shot from Tank could end everything.
That something like this can happen, but this is social media, this is what is created. There's a lane that Jake Paul has created. Honestly, I'm not mad at him for it. He's gotten a lot of fighters and, you know, actual fighters some shine. It also has done for women's boxing a lot, so I'm not mad at him for what he's been in boxing, what he's created. This is a little crazy. This is a little crazy. And a lot of people will say, Tank is too small. Let me tell you something. Anybody that gets in the ring with Tank that is not a damn dinosaur is going to feel something from it. And it ain't going to be easy to hit it. Got boxing IQ. He may not sound like an intellectual guy when you hear him talk, but he knows the ring inside and out. So there's nothing that Jake Paul can do aside from make it extremely ugly by grabbing him and probably trying to throw him to the ground. I don't know what else, bite him. I don't know, but I mean, the skill level alone. Now, of course, there is a size difference, a height difference, and all that, but he's just going to struggle so much landing a shot. You know, it's just going to look bad. To me, this is the way I see it. It's going to look bad. Tank is going to be too fast. And the punch, I believe, I'm not saying it's going to knock him out or, you know, but he's going to feel it.
Before his fight with Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis sent a cold warning, claiming he could drop a 300-pound man who doesn't know how to fight. Known for his explosiveness and precision, Tank wasn't exaggerating. Size doesn't matter if you can't fight, he said confidently. Skill beats power every time. The undefeated champion emphasized that boxing isn't about brute strength but about timing, rhythm, and sharp execution. A bigger man might bring weight, but Tank insists his speed, precision, and fight IQ would make him unstoppable in any scenario.
What do you think is the minimum weight of someone that could beat you in a fight?
Minimum weight?
Yeah,
Right.
someone's like 250
Yeah, probably like, 250, 220 or some shit like that.
with no experience.
Yes, sir.
Someone with no experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, hell no. They gotta have experience to beat me.
No, but like a 300 guy, no experience. You think you
Nah,
can beat him?
I'm whooping that ass. I'm whooping that ass for sure.
Even with Davis's new power and intimidating training footage, critics remain unconvinced he can handle Jake Paul's size. Standing just 5 feet 5 inches and naturally fighting at lightweight, Tank would be conceding huge advantages in reach, height, and mass. Skeptics argue that muscle alone can't overcome physics and that Paul's natural 190-pound frame could absorb punishment better than Davis expects. Despite Tank's terrifying aura, many believe this size gap could be his toughest challenge yet.
All of a sudden, we want to know who will win in this fight, Jake Paul or Tank Davis. It's a legit question, and I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win, because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank
The
too
way
little.
I did, I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. At weight classes for a
Tank
reason.
Davis
That
is
weight class is for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205
That's what I'm
pounds.
saying.
Dog.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. 135-pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30-pound, 20, 30-pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30-pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake and Tank.
Fans are already comparing the upcoming Davis versus Jake Paul clash to the Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul exhibition, another showdown of skill versus size. Like Floyd, Davis brings years of ring IQ, defense, and elite precision, while Jake, much like his brother, banks on raw power, pressure, and athleticism. In that earlier bout, Logan's size helped him survive, but Mayweather's timing controlled every moment. The question now, can Tank do the same against a heavier, hungrier Jake Paul who's desperate to prove he belongs among real fighters?
Jake Paul, Tank Davis fight got moved to Miami.
I think Jake wins.
Jake's just so big, dude.
I think Jake wins.
This is different because it's similar. It's similar to Logan versus Mayweather, but
Jake has better
Paul
boxing.
now obviously is way more advanced than where Logan was at that moment in time.
I mean,
Gervonta
it's
is
just.
fucking sick.
I mean, yeah. No, but dude,
Did you
Jake.
ever watch his highlights?
Jake can
He's
crack,
nasty,
man.
bro.
He's so sick. I love that guy, bro.
Boxing analyst Ade Oladipo voiced concern that this matchup might be happening too soon for both fighters. He pointed out that, unlike Mayweather and Logan's exhibition, both Davis and Jake are still in their primes, making this a real risk for each. Oladipo said the fight feels more like a spectacle than a legacy bout and could sidetrack both men from bigger challenges. He argued that it would make more sense once each had cemented more milestones in their careers. For now, he sees it as a gamble that could shape, or stall, their long-term growth in boxing.
Whether you agree with it or not, Gervonta is considered the #1 lightweight in the world. And it's a division that includes Shakur Stevenson, a lot of young guns coming up. I'm not any more sure if it's going to include Keyshawn Davis, but it's a hot division. He's considered #1 in that division. Like, that's why I kind of find this a bit, don't know. Like, there are challenges out there for Gervonta. There are big money fights out there for Gervonta. We want to see Gervonta in those fights. Again, I don't know how many fights people want to see AJ in, just to make the AJ Jake Paul comparison. One, as far as I'm concerned, that was Tyson Fury. I don't really have any interest in seeing an AJ in any other more fights. Whereas Gervonta Davis, I wanted and still do want to see him in so many more fights. So yeah, it's kind of weird. These exhibition things are
Like, really and truly, they should all be when your career's done. Like, when you think of Floyd versus Logan Paul, it's done, right? Floyd versus Conor. Did he have one more after? Was that it? I can't even remember. But it was right at the end. It was done. Right at the end. Even if it wasn't. Right at the end. These guys having these exhibition fights in between what is the peak of their career is kind of weird for me. Very, very weird. And then it isn't even comparable to Ngannou Fury, because at least these guys were the same size. Like, Jake Paul is a 215, 220 pound guy. I don't know what he walks around at. Gervonta fights at 135. Guessing he walks around about 155.
At the press conference, Jake Paul leaned heavily on his physical edge, boasting about his height, reach, and frame advantage. He claimed that Tank's come-forward style leaves holes that his longer reach and power shots will exploit. Yet Jake stayed grounded, admitting that beating Davis won't instantly make him elite. It's just another step in his climb toward legitimacy. He presented himself as hungry and focused, eager to earn respect through results, not talk. The balance between his confidence and humility struck a rare chord with fans watching the build-up unfold.
I would say a lot of things, but I think first and foremost is going to just be my reach, my size, being able to keep him away. I think there's a lot of holes in his defense that a lot of people haven't exposed before, and he's a great fighter, one of the best. I'm excited. He's elevating me to a new height. He's making me push myself to my limits. I'm more locked in than ever. But at the end of the day, I know I'm going to be able to come out on top and outbox the guy who's been doing it for 7 times as long as me.
Jake just said that Tank has been boxing for 7 times as long as Jake has been boxing. They started out this press conference by saying Jake started boxing 5 years ago. So 7 times 5 is 35. Tank is what, 30?
Jake Paul didn't hesitate to stir things up, boldly claiming that if he and Tank met outside the ring, he'd shake him upside down. Paul boasted that his size and strength would dominate even in a street fight, saying Tank's knockout reputation means nothing to him. "He's too small to scare me," Jake declared. The quote instantly went viral, fueling the rivalry. While Davis stayed focused and silent in training, Paul doubled down, insisting power beats precision. With both camps throwing verbal punches, anticipation for their face-off has reached a fever pitch.
He's a 5'8" little peon. If we were in the streets, I would grab that little ginger and smack him upside the head and make him forget who the fuck he was. People don't realize I'm a real killer. I really fucking do this shit. YouTube this, YouTube that, Disney that. This shit is not a joke. I'm knocking out the best of the best, beating all of these people time in and time again. And it's about time that you old heads and all these fucking boxers who think they know about the sport put some respect on my name.
The size gap between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis is staggering, sparking concerns over safety and fairness. Tank, who usually fights around 135 to 140 pounds, faces an opponent nearly 6 inches taller and up to 70 pounds heavier. The agreed catch weight is 195 pounds, but Jake could easily rehydrate close to 215 by fight night, while Tank will hover near 150. That's a different scene between entire weight classes, not individual fighters. Experts have drawn parallels to when David Haye, weighing 217 pounds, stunned 7-foot, 316-pound Nikolai Valuev, a 100-pound gulf that ended with pure skill triumphing over size.
This is a tiny man, 5'5" inches, and I reckon his in-the-ring weight is somewhere around 145 to 150 pounds. Meanwhile, Jake Paul is around 6 foot. We're not quite sure. I think he says he's 6'1" or 6'2". I've heard other people saying I think he's close to 5'11", 6 foot. But the point is he's a much, much taller man. And in the Mike Tyson fight, he was over 220 pounds. So the size difference is massive. This fight's been made at 195-pound catch weight, but after Jake's rehydrated, assuming there's no rehydration clause, which I don't believe there is, he'll probably weigh around 215 pounds in the ring. That means there's a sort of a 60 to 70-pound difference between the two men in the ring on fight night, which is absolutely enormous. There are weight classes for a reason in boxing, and this is the sort of thing that is typically not allowed or permitted. And like I said in my intro, it goes to the heart of that key question in boxing, which is how big is too big? It's the reason that the pound for pound list exists, where we kind of imagine if everybody was the same size, who's the best, who's number one? And it's a debate that rages on and on and on. And so when I see a fight like this, I think the hardcore boxing fans, generally speaking, have felt frustrated by it. Yes, because we want Gervonta Davis as part of the actual sport, competing for world titles against the other elite guys in his weight class. But also because if he gets knocked out and loses to Jake Paul, it creates this illusion that Jake Paul's much better than he actually is. And so I guess the question for me is, can Gervonta Davis beat Jake Paul, or will Jake Paul simply be too massive? Can Jake Paul use his size, or will Gervonta Davis simply be too skilled? What's the answer here? And in trying to answer this, I looked to history. And there's one fight that immediately popped out of my mind, and I thought, I wonder what the size difference was there. In fact, it may even be more significant. And it was, and the small guy won. Some of you might be thinking about it right now. It's when David Haye took on the monster, the absolutely ginormous human being, Nikolai Valuev. I think it took place around 2009. So at the time, I was literally a teenager. I didn't have a clue what I was looking at, and I'd fully bought into this David versus Goliath story. But I think it's an excellent example here to draw comparisons between the Gervonta Davis-Jake Paul fight to try and understand whether or not this is a good template and blueprint to try and predict and understand what the size difference might look like in the ring. Now, David Haye was 6'3" and was 217 pounds for the Valuev fight.
Despite Valuev's monstrous size and reach, David Haye used speed, timing, and movement to outthink and outbox him, earning a decision win. That fight remains the modern example of David versus Goliath. The same comparison now circles Gervonta Davis, a smaller man with elite skill, heart, and fight IQ. If Tank can use his precision and explosiveness like Haye did, he could once again prove that in boxing, skill and strategy can dismantle size and raw power.
This means that the weight gap was just a tiny bit under 100 pounds, which is obviously 40 pounds more, 35 pounds more than the gap between Davis and Paul. And there was a 9-inch gap in their height versus what seems to be a 7-inch height gap between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. And if you go back and watch that fight, David Haye wins it fairly comfortably. He uses his speed, his power, he moves around the outside of the ring and comprehensively outboxes Valuev, even hurting him at one point in the fight. I remember getting so excited seeing it, thinking, God, he's actually managed to wobble the giant. This is ridiculous. And so on the surface, that was a bigger gap, a harder fight for David Haye than Gervonta Davis might find Jake Paul as an opponent. The size gap was significantly bigger. And Nikolai Valuev was a guy who won over 50 fights. You know, this was an actual competitive heavyweight boxer who'd beaten some decent names.
Streamer Aiden Ross is confident Jake Paul will shock everyone by beating Gervonta Davis. He says anyone doubting Jake simply doesn't understand how much he's improved. Ross insists Jake's evolution as a boxer has been steady and legit, dismissing critics who still call him a YouTuber. Recently, Jake revealed he passed all USADA drug tests for this fight, agreeing to random testing to silence steroid rumors. His message was clear: no excuses. Amid scrutiny over his physique, Paul says he's out to prove his strength and stamina are 100% real and earned through discipline, not shortcuts.
For all of you Karens who accuse me of being on steroids as the reason for winning all of my fights, we have the strictest drug testing possible for this match. U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. Random drug tests at any moment. Oh look, they're here now. Hey USADA, me in the car. Looking good. See if you're on steroids. Clean as a whistle, contrary to what they say.
Analysts agree that Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis is more than a fight. It's a cultural event. With Jake's global fame and Tank's elite pedigree, the bout bridges entertainment and legacy in a way boxing hasn't seen in years. It's proof that today's fight scene values spectacle as much as skill, with crossover stars redefining what draws fans. This matchup, much like Canelo versus Crawford, signals how boxing's future might blend tradition with mainstream energy to keep the sport alive and booming.
You know what I mean? Especially Tank been talking about retiring, so why not get the bag and then go about your business if that's your plan? I mean, if that's your plan to retire, then go get the bag and go about your business. You ain't doing nothing wrong. I'm not against it.
You got some people that are very critical, Tank. Does it make sense depending on what you're in boxing for? Because you got some people that want to fight the best. You got some people that want the accolades, the belts, you know, the undisputed. You got some people that just came in this game like, look, I'm trying to get my family out of poverty and give us generational wealth. Does it all depend on what you decided to box for?
Well, I mean, Tank accomplished a lot at a young age.
So, will Tank's precision and knockout power overpower Jake Paul's size and confidence? Or will Jake shock the world once again? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.